it takes practice. Like learning a boundary is essentially like coming up with a set of values that you have for yourself or an expectation you have for yourself. And then setting building blocks together that will help you create the ability to maintain those values by the decisions that you make, if that makes sense. Having boundaries is truly having the self-image that you want for yourself, what you want other people to see you as, and executing that by the decisions that you make. That includes in relationships, in your everyday life, but especially so in relationships. And it helps kind of set the stage of avoiding a DV situation if you can really maintain that level of boundary setting and obtaining, constantly striving for those boundaries and values that you set for yourself. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, we know that the choices that we make are going to set in motion the reputation that we have, whether that be, it really could be personal, it could be within your household, it could be within your friend group. So really establishing what you want that to be, what you want that reputation, not necessarily even caring what other people think per se, but there's going to be a perception of you. So if you have in your mind what you want that to be and make your decision making around that, it'll help you establish boundaries that represent who you are and who you want to be. It also just coincides with developing self-esteem, with a positive self-image, kind of gaining that ability to stand up for who you are and what you believe in, the longer that you continue to strive for those like perspectives. For sure. Yeah. Yeah. So of course my specialty, I guess, is in relationships. So a good boundary, a really important boundary, I guess, to really strive for is learning the ability to say no. That comes in friendships, relationships, honestly, in any aspect of life. Um, learning to say no and standing up for yourself is like the ultimate boundary. If it can be things that you truly don't agree with, we'll say in a relationship, it could be sexually, it could be engaging in different activities or going with your partner somewhere that you know that you aren't supposed to go or that you aren't comfortable with going. So learning that ability to stand up for yourself and say no is like the ultimate boundary, the ultimate ability to kind of move forward with ultimately being able to have healthy relationships. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Learning to set boundaries is going to cross over into your relationships and establish a more likelihood to have positive relationships or healthy emotional and intimate relationships. If you're also setting boundaries elsewhere, you couldn't be more right. Um, as you said, of course, I get asked to do all kinds of things. I am probably the worst example. You know, as far as those things go, more out of guilt, which is another really big thing, both in DV relationships and just in people developing a true sense of self, is learning to let go of that guilt along with saying no. You aren't required to spread yourself so thin that you do run into issues of burnout. Or a lot of times whenever people are truly not able to let go of that guilt, that's when they find themselves in situations where they are in a DV relationship because they just feel guilty hurting the other person or letting go of the other person's expectations. Yeah, absolutely. If you have a strong sense of self, most likely abusive people are not going to be able to kind of infiltrate that or break that. We truly believe that it's possible for anyone to become the victim of domestic violence. But if a person is truly healthy, healthy inside on their working on themselves, continuing to maintain that boundary, they are more likely to get either out of the situation before it gets to that point, or truly help prevent it from starting in that relationship, even like modeling their behaviors into other people to help kind of break the cycle of domestic violence in general. When the stronger that we can make individuals and the more empowered and the more self-aware and then the higher self-esteem we can give to individuals is just it's a preventative measure for long-term victims of domestic violence. Yeah, yeah, yeah. For sure. We know that abusers are relentless. They are not afraid to keep trying. Oftentimes, if we give an inch, they'll take a mile. So it is so important to have a really strong core. I am not willing to break this, and I am willing to walk away if it looks like I'm going to have to. And again, that it's something that comes with a long history of learning to really stand up for yourself. And it starts so small with, like I said, just saying no. Other little things about like trusting your instincts. It can be really hard to get a gut feeling and actually listen to what it's telling you, or to see red flags and actually take action based on what those little things are telling us. But the more we do it, the more likely we are to build on that. You couldn't be more right. But both of those things are true. People who have high self-esteem, who feel good about themselves, who have a deep sense of self-worth, are not likely to put up with the actions of an abusive person. Again, their tactics will probably get worse to try and change that prospective victim's thought process and to try and break those down. But ultimately, abusive people are not interested in individuals who feel good about themselves because they can't get in. You're absolutely more likely to a lot of preventative work that we do and that across the board we do is empowering people with self-esteem. It is hard to get through to somebody in a negative whenever they feel good about themselves. Little things like teaching people to say no. Helping people find their interests and then truly praising them for what interests them. Helping young people establish a you liking the arts or being good at arts is a really good thing, and it's something that you should embrace as who you are. So that you can build your skill level and continue to have things that you're proud of, that you're constantly seeking. Healthy relationships is another way, even if you're a young person and it's an adult or a coworker or whatever. If you have someone who's a healthy relationship, you start to mold a little bit of your behaviors around things that they do or what you think their expectation would be. Naturally, that's just something that happens. We're seeking, we people please kind of by nature. So establishing a core group of individuals with positive behaviors can help model positive behaviors to people as well. Huge. Yeah. Yeah, it's huge. We truly believe that it only takes one person modeling true positive behavior, interacting in a positive way with an individual can really change their life for the good or keep them moving in a direction that's positive. Having one person that you really can. Absolutely. I think kind of first and foremost is helping somebody establish what do you want that to look like for you. We if it's truly a situation of within the relationship being DV, we will evaluate the relationship and kind of start to make the plans of getting you out of that situation so that then you can repair. If it's a non-DV situation, there are so many professionals available. Like we are so fortunate to live in 2024 where people can just seek help. And kind of get to the root of what their issues are. It can be as simple as through therapeutic text messaging, which is huge to help people gain some skills, talk about what is affecting them, and then move forward from there in their lives. For sure. Yeah. Sure. You can find us online at willowtreemissions.org or by phone at 217-762-2350. Right. Absolutely. Yeah, there are definitely things that are consistent with healthy relationships. There's also kind of warning signs or a list of things that are probably present if you're in an unhealthy relationship. So I'm going to start with things that are likely unhealthy so that I can finish on things that are more healthy. Um, a big one in unhealthy relationships is jealousy. If you're taking the time to do things for yourself and getting kickback from that, it can be as simple as not talking on the phone to your partner whenever you're driving. If your actions are causing suspicion in your partner, even whenever there's no reason for there to be suspicion, there's just extreme jealousy or big signs of jealousy. It's a really big indication that there aren't healthy boundaries from the other person and that your relationship isn't going in a positive direction. Those signs of jealousy start early. It's different than kind of infatuation or like lust from a new relationship. It's stronger than that. And most people, again, if we trust our instincts, we actually see that coming. We noticed early on that it was not okay, and that doesn't go away. It continues to get worse and worse and worse as relationships go on. Also, if your partner immediate reaction to like differences of opinions is calling you names or saying negative things about you, that isn't healthy and it isn't normal. A lot of people don't realize that that isn't normal. They think most relationships, whenever you're fighting, you yell at each other and you say unkind things about the person. It isn't true. Most people don't do that. Most relationships don't do that. Also, whenever a big red flag I'll say is whenever people aren't willing to communicate, the silent treatment is a really powerful tool for people who are abusive. It causes their partners to go to walk on eggshells, to be unsuspecting of what they might be mad at, not being able to communicate that through. So not using communication is a really big deal. It's a really strong tool that abusive people use. Gosh, there's so many other things. Controlling behaviors, controlling somebody's behaviors, even small, super small, usually starts with the way somebody dresses. It can come across as a compliment, but it's really starting that piece of controlling behavior, making promises they don't. It seems small, it happens the first couple of times, and then all of a sudden all of these things are taking place and you realize, shoot, I'm in a situation that I didn't expect to be in. On the contrary to that, people who have really strong self-esteem, really strong self-awareness and boundaries are immediately going to see it's not okay for you to talk to me that way. I'm not willing to do this. True healthy relationships, it isn't going to be a situation that takes place because there's such a mutual respect between the two parties that isn't where the line of defense goes. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. A really big one is being willing to listen to somebody's feedback, being willing to listen whenever somebody expresses to you how they are feeling or what they're experiencing. You don't have to agree with it to listen to it, to respect what they're saying and go along with whatever it is that they are working through. A really big one in relationship is always ask for permission before you touch somebody in any way. Having a healthy line of communication there. Knowing if someone's expressing to you what their feelings and values are, leave it at that, respect that, and not push them forward. It doesn't mean you can't grow as a couple or grow in your relationship, and those won't become blurred lines as a relationship progresses. But as someone is letting you know, a healthy person is letting you know their boundaries, it's really important that we respect those and not move beyond those. Um, and with that, not judging a person for how they're feeling. Again, you don't have to understand where someone's coming from uh, to to make them. You don't have to make them feel guilty about where they're at. You can meet them where they're at without compromising yourself, and it's a really big thing to do. Ultimately, the end goal should be for both individuals in a relationship to have higher self-esteem and higher self-worth because of the relationship or as a tool within the relationship rather than lower. As long as it's building both of you up, it's probably the right decision. days. Yeah, they can call me at 217-762-2350 or find us online at willowtreemissions.org.